You're listening to Rabbi Aryeh Wolbe, Director of Torch, the Torah Outreach Resource Center of Houston. This is the Jewish Inspiration Podcast.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Jewish Inspiration Podcast. We are in the middle of Orchot Tzaddikim, Ways of the Righteous, in the Treasure for Life edition on page 495. The gate of envy, jealousy, envy. Are they the same? We'll see in a few moments. But what I would like to clarify is that when we talk about envy, when we talk about jealousy, what's really happening when we talk about jealousy? Jealousy is when I'm not pleased with what I have. I look at what someone else has and I want what they have. So in the very foundation, in the very core of it, I'm not in agreement with what the Almighty decided. He decided that they should have a nicer watch, a nicer car, different children, different spouse than me. And I am jealous because I want that. Right? I want that. So I'm sort of in a disagreement with the Almighty about, what I should be getting. That's really the core of it. So now we're in the 14th gate. So envy, Hakino hi anaf min akas, is an offshoot. Envy is an offshoot of anger. Ve'ein adam nimlat mimena, and there's no one who escapes from this negative trait. Ki anachnu roim, for we see with our eyes, asher kol bnei adam nimshachem ish acharei eyu, that people follow the trends of what their friends do. We are attracted to what others are doing. Ki ka'asher hu ro'a shechaver koneh kinyan minyane olam hein mimine ha'ma'acholim hein mimine abgadim o boneh bayis o me'asif mammon. Whether it is that we see someone else acquiring worldly acquisitions, a nice car, right? Whatever it may be, nice clothes, whether it be food, whether it be a new house, whether it be money, whatever it is, then every person desires. And if you think about it, what is all of fashion? What is all of fashion? Fashion, what is fashion? Think, how many times did you see something and you're like, that is the craziest thing in the world. I can't believe anybody would walk around dressed like that. And then 3 months later, we see ourselves wearing it. Why? Because that same jealousy kicks in. For whatever reason, we fall into that same trap ourselves. And this is something we need to be very careful about, and this is what we're going to be elaborating on tonight. He endeavors to do likewise, thinking, my friend has this, I want it also. This was intimated by Shlomo HaMelech. This is something that King Saul, Chaveru yesh lo zeh, gam li yeh kach, v'dov zeh ramaz Shlomo HaMelech, and this is what King Solomon hinted to. V'ro'isi ani es kol amol v'es kol kishroin hamase ki hi kinas ish mireyu. King Solomon says in Ecclesiastes the following, and I saw that all toil and all excellence of workmanship was one man's envy of another. So this problem of jealousy is not a new generational thing. V'ra'isi ani es kol amol v'es kol kishroin hamase ki hi kinas ish mireyu. Mi shehamida hazos miskaberes alav. One who is overpowered by this trait is extremely despicable because envy brings one to lust. Umiguna ma'od ki akina mevia lidei chimud ki kisha eino nosin el libo ma sheyesh bidei acherim oz eino chomed. When a person does not take to heart what others have, he doesn't lust. But the moment that his heart is drawn towards what his friend has, and he's jealous and he covets and desires what other people have, then he becomes envious of what other people have. As we know, the Torah in the Big Ten Commandments tells us, do not covet your neighbor's wife, and all that belongs to your neighbor. So this is a big problem. If a person is trapped in this world of jealousy. And again, jealousy comes from our eyes. We look and we see what someone else has, and then we desire it. When someone else has something, we think, hey, I want it too. And that becomes a big, big problem. Vikasher chomed oz, who gozel, and when he covets, he steals. Kidichsiv v'chamdu sdos v'gazolu. And they coveted fields and they stole them. So this is a pattern that happens. I remember, I'm going to share with you a story that I've shared before about my brother's bar mitzvah. My father at the time, may live and be well, my father at the time was doing pretty well in business. And my brother, my oldest brother, was going to have his bar mitzvah a few months later. They went to a relative's bar mitzvah. And it was a very, very simple bar mitzvah. My brother, on the way out of the bar mitzvah, says to my father, he says, my bar mitzvah is going to be a lot nicer than that, won't it? You can afford a much nicer bar mitzvah. So my father said, no, actually, you're going to have something very similar. He says, why? Yeah, I mean, you can afford something so much nicer than that. I mean, this was like the simplest bar mitzvah ever. My father said, I might be able to afford it. But can all the kids in your class afford it? They're going to go home after we have a real fancy bar mitzvah, and they're going to say to their father, I want a bar mitzvah like Wolby had. And what's the father going to do? He says, my son is only going to be bar mitzvah once in his lifetime. Got to give him what he wants. Father's going to go cheat and steal and borrow money that he can't return just so that he can live up to the Joneses, live up to the Friedmans, right? It's a terrible, terrible thing. This is something that I think we need to be very conscious of because it's not something, it's just a simple thing. Our children pick up on it if we aren't cognizant. We had a big window in the front of our house. But you know what else was on that window? Shades. We didn't look out. We didn't look out to what the neighbor has. Oh, they got a new car. Oh, they got a new, they're building a new house. They painted. They got a new roof. They got this or that. Didn't make a difference to us. We looked inside. Our job is to look inside, not to look outside. It's something my father was very conscious of, very extremely conscious to ensure that it was very, very, very clear to us that we had everything we needed and we were going to try to do everything we can to serve Hashem with exactly what He gave us. So, my dear friends, let's continue here. And one whom lust mounts to that someone is overcome with lust is very close to transgressing the Ten Commandments. For there was once a man who had a wicked neighbor. And they had a gate separating, a wall separating between the two properties. And this wicked man lusted after his neighbor's wife and some of his possessions. Yom Echad, Erev Shabbos, one Friday, he heard his neighbor telling his wife, I want to go away for the day on business. And he did so. What did the wicked person do? What did he do? He knocked down the wall between their two houses. What did he do? Prohibition of demolition on Shabbos. And he went and he violated the woman. Which is what? Committed adultery. What's that? That's Hare Avar Alo Sinaf. He committed It says, thou shalt not commit adultery, which is one of the 10 commandments. He did that. Then he started stealing their money, stealing their riches. So when he started stealing, the woman started then yelling. What happened? He killed her. Now, he didn't only break the Shabbos, he also did, thou shalt not commit adultery. He also did, thou shalt not steal. He also did, thou shalt not murder. And then he also violated, you shall not covet your neighbor's home. The next day, his parents started yelling at him and screaming at him, reprimanding him for what he had done. So he hit them. It says that you should honor your father and mother. One of the 10 commandments. He violated that as well by hitting them. Of Beit Din, and then he was brought to the Beit Din, to the court. He lied to the Beit Din, to the court, that these objects, he was just taking back what was his because this was collateral that he gave them. And what happened? He just went back to get his own, what he had given them as a collateral. And they couldn't take what he stole out of his hands. Ad achshav sheshibra alistim esakosel shebeneim v'horgu esaisha v'kisheshama haish hahariga nichnas gamhu v'lokat avoto hare ovar al losane bereacha eichaker. Says, entrusted to that this object that he had stolen, he said, was entrusted by them, and he had been able to reclaim it until now that the robbers had broken the wall and killed his wife. And hearing of it, he too has gone in and taken his pledge, thus transgressing, do not testify falsely. Okay. In every place that he went, and then he would swear up and down, right and left, wherever he went, that he did not do anything. And because of the embarrassment of people accusing him that he did these terrible acts, he went and betrayed God, left religion, and then betrayed the first commandment of the 10 commandments, which is, I am Hashem your God. And then he became an idol worshiper, and he bowed down and he served the idols, thus transgressing the second commandment. You shall not have any other gods besides me, and do not bow down to them and do not serve them, which he also transgressed. And all of this came about how? By jealousy. We see from here that when someone is jealous, they can transgress the entire Torah. The entire Torah falls apart when all 613 mitzvahs essentially can be devoid in a person who goes against the one commandment of not being jealous. This is a very, very important thing. We need to remember this every single day of our lives. This concludes day number 83.
You've been listening to Rabbi Aryeh Wolbe on a podcast produced by Torch, the Torah Outreach Resource Center of Houston. Please help sponsor an episode so we can continue to produce more quality Jewish content for our listeners around the globe. Please visit torchweb.org to donate and partner with us on this incredible endeavor.